I'm a huge fan of 60% mechanical keyboard, as you might know from some of my videos and Instagram posts. My keyboard of choice always has been the Vortex Poker 3 keyboard with Cherry MX Brown switches, but that keyboard is wired and has no backlight. So Keyboard Lab reached out and sent over their Timber keyboard. Will this replace my Poker 3 keyboard? To be honest, I'm not really sure. Okay, before we go into the review, full disclosure. Keyboard Lab sent me this keyboard for free, but like all my reviews, all my opinions are my own, and Keyboard Lab sees this video the same time as you do. Check out my ethics statement in the description below to see how I review every single item. Okay, with that out of the way, let's talk about the Timber keyboard. For those of you who don't know, I live in Germany and this keyboard only comes with a US layout. This was pretty difficult at the beginning and was one, albeit not the main reason, why I installed my preferred editing color scheme layout keycaps. Although the keyboard can be switched to German layout easily in the OS, one key is missing and I noticed some, let's say, flaws. For instance, the Command Option plus Escape macro in Apple's operating system does not work properly. I admit I'm pretty sure that this is a user error, but this flaw brings me to one of the major positives of this keyboard: custom key mapping via software that saves all of your settings on the keyboard itself. Let me elaborate. So before COVID, I always worked on different workstations at the offices of my clients. So for me it was really important to customize my keyboard and not to have to install software on my clients' computers. So the Poker 3 allowed me to program custom key mappings on it, but only via a very annoying way without any software interface. The Timber has a website in which you can program macros to your liking and then export a file which you can copy via the wired USB-C connection to your keyboard. Now you can use custom keys by pressing the FN or function key, which I programmed onto the caps lock key. So now by pressing caps lock and WAS or D, I have arrow keys. This is probably the feature that makes me love this keyboard the most. Speaking of the USB-C connection, you can use this keyboard either wired or via Bluetooth. The battery holds up very long and I was able to work about 3 weeks in a row without actually needing to charge it. The connection is very reliable, and one thing to note about the cable, or rather the USB-C port, due to its timber casing, I assume the port is pretty deep inside the case, so you need to use the USB-C cable that is provided. I'm honestly not really sure why that is, and this could have been solved a better way. All the other USB-C cables that I own did not fit into the port. Okay, I already went deep into this review before actually talking about some of the features of this keyboard. So the Timber is a 60% keyboard with a natural wood base, which makes it much lighter than my Poker 3 with its metal case. So this is amazing for traveling. However, inside there is a 1900 mAh battery, which I'm not really sure if you can take this on a plane. But if you're traveling by train or just walking around, the weight of this keyboard is amazing. The keycaps are double shot keycaps with a pretty minimalistic design that I really like and would have kept if I wouldn't have needed a German layout with my editing colored keycaps. The switches are Gateron brown switches, to which I will get to right after this typing sound recording. I'm not sure if you can actually hear it properly in the recording, but the switches and the keycaps have some kind of scratchy noise to them. For me it's a little bit hard to describe, to be honest. Here's a quick comparison to my Poker 3. Inside my Poker 3 with the Cherry MX Brown, I installed some dampener rings, which then I also installed in the Timber. This helped a little bit, but some of the scratchiness and sharp clacking still remains. I'm still new to the custom mechanical keyboard world, so I'm not sure what exactly causes this noise, but this is definitely something that needed some getting used to, and I'm still, after a few months of use, not really fond of the noise. Something else that I'm not really fond of, or let me rephrase this, because it is actually good but I don't really use it, is the RGB lighting. It looks good, but I turned it off after a week because it was more distracting than actually helpful. Alright, let's do a quick recap. What do I like? The weight and being wireless with a good and reliable connection is incredible. Being able to customize the keyboard mapping with a website, i.e. not having to install anything, and then being able to store the preferences onto the keyboard is a killer feature for my personal use case, and I do not want to miss this feature. What I do miss is a German keyboard layout, but having gotten used to the US layout will open up many more keyboards to test out. So that's definitely a trade-off that, yeah, I'm willing to make for the future. However, a trade-off that still makes me want to look for a different keyboard is the sound and also a little bit the feel of the switches. This is highly subjective, but for me this scratchy sound and the feel is, yeah, just okay, but definitely could be better. But would this deter me from recommending this keyboard? Actually, no. The Keyboard Lab Timber in my eyes is still a very good keyboard. It looks awesome, is very reliable in terms of connection and build. Oh, and speaking of build, one thing I have forgotten to mention, the on-off switch is weirdly placed underneath the spacebar, and you will need something flat like the blunt side of a knife to turn on or off the keyboard. Why the hell they put it there? I honestly have no clue. So bottom line, if you don't mind the sound of the switches and you don't mind getting used to a US layout if you live outside of the USA, then I can highly recommend this keyboard. So what's your keyboard of choice? Let me know in the comment section below. And like always, if you have any more questions, also comment below. And if you enjoyed this video, click the like button. And please feel free to subscribe to my channel and click that little bell icon so you won't miss next videos. Also, check out my Instagram at YouKnowTheBow. And yeah, I'll see you in the next videos. Stay safe and healthy everyone, and thank you very much.